Hello class, my name is Thomas Frankenhoff, and this is my speech on gun control. In this speech I will be covering the Second Amendment, how gun control's laws will not keep criminals from having guns, and how recollecting all of the guns would be impossible. I'll even add in a little bonus fact. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects individual gun ownership laws. Individual gun ownership. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that's what the Second Amendment is. And what it's basically talking about is how if a government gets too powerful and the citizens are not having it, they can overthrow the government, especially if they're not feeling free anymore. There was a court case, McDonald versus City of Chicago, and in that case, they determined gun ownership is an individual's right. It's not just like you can just have it because you want it. It's a right to your person. So is freedom and the ability to buy land. Many people say the Founding Fathers didn't know what guns would be capable of nowadays. But in 1718, 73 years before the Bill of Rights was written, a puckle gun, which is basically a giant revolver that shot 60 millimeter bullets, which it could shoot 11 of them in a row in succession without having to reload. So is an early Gatling gun. Everybody knows what a Gatling gun is. Gun control laws will not prevent criminals from having them. Drugs are illegal, and law-abiding citizens do not use them. All it has done for criminals is made them more coveted and more expensive. The same thing will happen with guns. The people who follow laws will give their guns away, and the criminals will still use them. It's just how it works. It's common sense. If a person is looking for their next high and they need money, they will be willing to mug somebody. At that point, they don't care about morals or laws. All they care about is dying in drugs. If a criminal sees the person has a gun on their hip, or maybe if a gun is concealed, then the criminal will either not even try to mug that person, or will be unsuccessful and shot. And if all the guns are taken away, then they will know that that person does not have a gun, and they'll be much more willing to go and mug them so they can get their next high. In Chicago, handguns are already made illegal, as are gun stores and high capacity magazines, and they still have at least one handgun shooting, and sometimes over 30 in one weekend. Now, if you ask me, around here, I don't ever hear of any handgun shootings, and I don't see them being illegal. Recollecting all the guns will be impossible. If somebody came to my house and they had a piece of paper signed by the government, Mr. President, Mrs. President, I don't care who, and they said, "We're here to take your guns away," there is no way that they would give my guns without killing me first. And I don't think the government wants to kill all of their citizens who are willing to hold on to their guns, especially if most of those citizens, which will have guns, are willing to fight and probably kill people for them, as I am. Gray Wilton, who has a PhD in cognition, said in a post on Quora that Australia paid more than $500 million to buy back some of the guns when they buy back all of their guns. They are a gun-free nation. That $500 million came from an increased tax on their health insurance, and if you ask me, I don't want to pay more money to get my guns taken away, just to have that little bit of money given back to me, which is not as much as what the guns will be worth, and then I won't have guns anymore, so I'm not going to pay more money to give my guns away. If the government tried to take our guns away, there would be a civil war. If, like I said, if I'm willing to fight for my guns, and I'm sure my neighbors are, I'm sure their neighbors are, if they're all trying to get our guns taken away, there's going to be a civil war on the government's hands. And the people who have given their guns away, I'm sure will support it, so they'll be on one side. The people who are not going to give their guns away will not support it, so they're not going to give their guns away. And if you're in a civil war and you have a side who's giving all their guns away a side who has not given their guns away, I think the side with the guns is going to win. And a little fun fact, not really fun fact actually, in Germany, they had all of their guns registered, which is basically a step of, it's a slow step to take all your guns away. And they had all their guns registered when the Nazis took over. So they went to every Jewish house and took all the guns away before they started murdering them. And then the Jewish people, when they tried to fight back, they couldn't. And the Nazis killed a whole lot of them. So you should care about your gun ownership rights because it is a law set by the Founding Fathers, because you will need to protect yourself at some point in time, and because of you don't want to pay more money, and you don't want the whole entire nation to go into a civil war. Thanks for listening.